I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to my blog .stampwithelaine.com and welcome to Fun Friday. Today's video is a technique I taught my card club ladies called the rainbow technique. I taught these to my card club ladies in December. Rainbow stamping doesn't mean that the image you're stamping contains all the colours of the rainbow. It's just a terminology used to indicate that you stamp an image several times in the same spot using a variety of inks to create the multicolour effect like a rainbow. You can see it on the cards I designed for my card club ladies here. So I've used three colours, that's Wild Wasabi, Watermelon Wonder and Bermuda Bay. The majority of my customers prefer the clear mount stamps to the wood mount because it takes up much more space with the wood mount. Here's a tip. It's best to mount your clear mount stamps on a block that is the right size for your stamp. Here's a stamp that is tiny and I've mounted it on a huge block. So if I ink it up and stamp, you'll find that it's also stamped the edges around the stamp because the block is too big. I'll just transfer the stamp onto a smaller block and do the same, and you have a much cleaner image because the block is on, the stamp is on the right size block. This is block A, which is the smallest block in our catalogue. There's a less tendency for the block to rock or move. Now I've explained the reason why it's important to mount your stamps on the right block. Let's go through the supplies we need to make this card using the rainbow technique. The materials we're using are the Cozy Christmas clear mount stamp set. We'll also need the Lots of Labels framelets. We're going to be using the largest frame, softly falling textured embossing folder, a sponge dauber and the Stamp-O-Magy. The ink pads we're using is Smoky Slate, Soft Sky, Pear Pizzazz and Real Red. And we're also going to need the Real Red, Smoky Slate and Pear Pizzazz markers. We need some Real Red striped ribbon, which is the 1/8 inch one. It actually comes in a pack of 2, but we're only going to be using the Real Red one. Tip glue pen and some dazzling diamonds. I keep it in a box like this so that it's easier to use, but in fact there's probably about 5 pots in there. The cardstock you need is Real Red. This is an A4 sheet, European size, which has been cut in half lengthways. So it measures 4 1/8 inch by 11 3/4, and in centimetres that's 10.5 by 30 centimetres. You need a Soft Sky mat, and this has been cut at 3 7/8 inches by 5 3/4 inches. In centimetres that's 9.9 by 14 centimetres. Your Whisper White layer, this is out of thick white cardstock. This has been cut at 3 3/4 inches by 5 3/8 inches. In centimetres that's 9.6 by 13.7. For the inside of the card, the insert is 3 3/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches, and that's 9.6 by 14 centimetres. And I've mounted my stamps on a block C, G, B and H. We also need to cut Lots of Label framelit in the larger size for the card front. So for this I'll need my magnetic platform, base cutting plate, scrap of Whisper White, pop my label with the cutting edge side down, top cutting plate, and now I'm ready to run it through the Big Shot, and I'll do that off camera. Next I want to emboss the thick Whisper White cardstock with the Softly Falling embossing folder, and I need to butt it up at the edge of the folder at the top here rather than down the fold. So on tab 1 of my multi-purpose platform, base cutting plate, embossing folder, top plate, and then I'm ready to run this through the Big Shot. I'll set these aside to work on later. Bring in a piece of scrap paper for stamping on top. This is a Stamp-A-Majig, and it's essential that we use this tool in order to stamp accurately. So I've already buttered up the plastic imaging sheet into the right angle of the T-bar, and then I've mounted my stamp, which is this stamp here, on block E, and then I use some StazOn ink and stamp the image on the imaging sheet. So now I have a point of reference. Now I'll bring in my cut label and position the image that I want to stamp onto my cardstock. Place the T-bar so that it's buttered up and lined with the plastic imaging sheet at the right angles in the corner here. Now I have to make sure that that stays in position and it doesn't move. That's really important. Then remove the imaging sheet, and the first colour I'm using is Smoky Slate. So I'll stamp the top third of my stamp in Smoky Slate. Clean my stamp on the Stamp and Scrub, and this time I'm using the Soft Sky. So I ink up 2/3 of the stamp. I need a baby wipe to clean off the top third of the stamp and stamp again in the same position. Clean your stamp again and dry it, and ink up the bottom third of your stamp and stamp again a third time. And there's the rainbow effect. Next I need my Pear Pizzazz, and I'm going to be stamping this image here. So this is where I'll need my markers. So I'm going to take off the smoke with a baby wipe, and I'm going to take off the house, so the outline of the house. Then use the Smoky Slate for the smoke coming out of the chimney, and the real red for the house. And then you need to huff on it before you stamp to re-moisten the image. Next I'm going to use my fine tip glue pen to fill in, but try and avoid the ink lines, and flood that so I can put Dazzling Diamonds on the roof, and then just a line along here for some snow. And then I'll bring my Dazzling Diamonds in, sprinkle some on top, and then just leave that to dry. While we're waiting for that to dry, we'll do the inside of the card, and for this I'll need Soft Sky, Have a Cozy Christmas. Next I'm going to stamp the bell, And for this, because it's all different colours, I'll probably need my marker pens again. The reason I usually stamp with an ink pad is because the colour is so much more intense. And I need to clean off the bow and the leaves. And you want to keep the grey. This bit here is the grey, which is part of the bell. Next we want to sponge the outside of the label with Real Red. And now we are ready to assemble our card. So let's start with the inside. Then we have our mat, our soft sky mat. Softly falling embossed whisper white layer in thick cardstock. Some dimensionals on the back of the card. The lots of labels layer. And lastly the bow. Then attach it with a glue dot. And there's your card finished. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please like, share or subscribe. If you live in the UK and are local to me here in Fleet, Hampshire, and would like to attend a class in person, ping me an email through my online store. The address is here. Thanks for watching and feel free to pop back anytime. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Bye.